Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. Today we have a technically tier 11 domination battle for you here on the Shatter map, with some interesting matchmaking for Crystal Killer 001 here in the Japanese tier 9 battlecruiser, the Azuma. Well, I say interesting matchmaking, it's not completely terrible. I mean, there could be more battleships. Both teams have 3 destroyers, 5 cruisers, 3 battleships and 1 aircraft carrier. No submarines. The problem, and what makes it interesting, and when I say interesting I mean in the sense of the old Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times, at least as far as Crystal Killer here is concerned, is the spread of the matchmaking, because he's tier 9 and the Azuma, it's not a bad tier 9 cruiser, but it's definitely not particularly good. And if, in fact, if it wasn't for one thing, okay, maybe 2, this would definitely be a bad cruiser. And he's tier 9, and both teams include 3 tier 11 super ships, one of which is the carrier. And this is a Japanese cruiser, so even in a game where AA is largely meaningless, he's going up against super carriers, and his AA is bad, even by the standards of the regular bad AA that everybody else has. Because Japanese. Yeah. Also, the enemy team have a super... Well, both teams have a super battleship. Oh, here comes the carrier. Yeah, not particularly surprising. It's the USS United States Tier 11 super carrier. Why wouldn't it? Oh, and look at the timing there. That was terrible. Turned away to avoid the rocket attack planes, just in time to catch a broadside from the Slava. Oh, the Slava is an interesting battleship. It has a uniquely Russian accuracy curve. It's actually more accurate the further away you are. It's the exact opposite of what it should be. The closer that thing gets, the less accurate the guns become. And it was really unfortunate here for Crystal Killer that as he was turning, I mean, the Slava was basically, it's not just the Slava of course, they were just waiting for him to turn out. And that's exactly when the Slava in particular unleashed its broadside. So now, terrible start to the game, barely 2 minutes in, and he's already lost a third of his health, and that's after using 1 charge of his repair party. So to expand on what I was talking about, saying that if it wasn't for 2 things, this would definitely be considered a pretty bad cruiser. I mean, there are plenty of people who think it's a bad cruiser anyway. I don't. I think it's alright. I actually kind of like it. Of course, just because I like it doesn't actually mean it's any good. But there are 2 things to like about the Azuma, the guns and the speed. It's pretty fast, and the guns are very good. It's a battle cruiser, so it's armed with 12-inch guns, 9 of them. And the high explosive shells, being Japanese, are pretty spicy. The armour piercing is alright. The high explosive is definitely the star of the show, however. The downsides of the ship are, well, pretty much everything else. We've already talked about the awful AA, which is a bit of a problem in a game with a tier 11 supercarrier. And the armour is kind of bad as well. Unlike certain Russian cruisers, it definitely doesn't have 50mm decks or bows, and unlike the German cruisers, it doesn't have a turtleback citadel armour scheme. This thing barely has 25mm of armour plating everywhere, so it will be overmatched by ships armed with 15-inch guns or higher. And I think there's only one extremely unfortunate battleship in this thing's matchmaking spread that doesn't at least have 15-inch guns. I can't even remember the name of the... It's so rare to see it. I can't remember the name of the British tier 9 battleship I'm thinking of that's armed with 14-inch guns. And the reason it's so rare and you're never going to actually run into them is because nobody plays them, because they're shit. They only have 14-inch guns. So effectively, every battleship he is ever going to run into that catches sight of him is going to be armed with guns that are going to rip him up from any angle. And also, with only 25mm of plating everywhere that matters, the Azuma is extremely vulnerable to high explosive spam. The ship's modules, turrets in particular, are extremely fragile. If it helps, you could think of the Azuma as a sort of not that good tier 9 version of the Zhao, because both ships would do well to try to keep the enemy at arm's length, which is exactly what Crystal Killer here is doing. and just pepper them mostly with high explosive from extreme range. The reason why I say a not quite as good version of the Zao is that despite the quick reload of these larger caliber guns, the Zao has more of them, and the Zao tends to discourage pursuit. Like, it's usually a very bad idea to go chasing after a kiting Zao because torpedoes. The Azuma doesn't have any. It's one of the very few Japanese cruisers to actually not get 10-kilometer range torpedoes with excellent rearward firing arcs. So why not go chasing after an Azuma? It's not like it can stop you. The speed is good though. It is fast, even by cruiser standards, 34 knot top speed. So if you do have to disengage and run away, she can do it against most things that are likely to be giving chase. But there are some battleships in this ship's matchmaking spread who can exceed that speed. So, I mean, ooh, that torpedo's going to be awfully close. There is a Jaeger out there somewhere. Okay, he dodged. So, Azuma, bit of a one-trick pony. Long range, high explosive spam. It does that one thing very, very well, and not much else. Oh, Shimakaze, how did you let yourself get spotted? Crystal instantly turns because torpedoes and triggers the hydro. He also has a grosser Kurfürst with him, by the way. There are the torpedoes. Let's just count the number of different ways this Shimakaze has screwed this up, because he's obviously heading north and hugging the border, hoping to get around behind Crystal's team. But he got spotted. So his first mistake was getting spotted, getting close enough for that to happen. His second mistake was not taking the hint and continuing to try to get around to the north while being hydroed and shot at, not just by an Azuma's 12-inch high explosive, but also the grosser Kurfürst secondaries. So that's multiple errors of judgment from the Shimakaze. A class of ship that usually only lets you get away with one error of judgment before giving you some fatal punishment. Speaking of which, there's the Jaeger. Now, the Jaeger's errors aren't quite as egregious as those of the Shimakaze, although he was dumb enough to get to within hydro range of a grosser Kurfürst, and if you're within hydro range of a grosser Kurfürst, you're within getting smashed up by the secondaries range of a grosser Kurfürst. But he was at least smart enough, unlike the Shimakaze, to be heading in the correct direction to get out of hydro range. And then just as he was about to go undetected, he thought it was a good idea to fire his guns, which means he's going to remain detected for the next 20 seconds. Yeah, it wasn't a good idea. It doesn't get him killed though, although it should have. He does eventually manage to disappear. But that was more through luck than judgment. So they're taking out the Shimakaze, but they are of course aware that there is a Jaeger out there, and that thing fires a lot of torpedoes that have probably already reloaded by now. Although with the grosser Kurfürst's hydro running, I mean that thing lasts forever, it's probably not the Jaeger who's the biggest threat to the grosser Kurfürst at the moment. It's all these guys shooting at him. So Crystal was advising the grosser Kurfürst to get back. Yeah, here it comes, and there are the Jaeger torpedoes. Grosser Kurfürst saw them in time to avoid them, but it's not the torpedoes that are going to kill him. That's unfortunate. Single torpedo hit. Jaeger torpedoes individually don't do a huge amount of damage, but he could have done without the flood, because that's restricting his speed. The grosser Kurfürst is now basically doomed, and of course the Jaeger's keeping Crystal spotted. Most of those enemy ships are not shooting at Crystal, although one of them just did. As long as that grosser Kurfürst is still floating, and he won't be, he's gone, they're now all going to start shooting at him. That salvo from the Hanover could easily have seriously messed him up. It's time to take the hint, do the hippie hippie shake, and DD-mow the hell on out of there. The Jaeger gets himself spotted again, 5.4 kilometer stealth, and he allows himself to get spotted. Sloppy. Crystal desperately needs to go unspotted because all of those enemy ships are busy reloading and aiming at him. Now, there's a couple of things working in his favour here. First and foremost, the island. He slams the brakes on because he knows that Jaeger is going to have reloaded and his hydro is on cooldown. Sticks the spotter plane up just in case the Jaeger is trying something sneaky. Sure enough, there go the torpedoes. The other thing that's working in his favour is the fact that the cyclone has just closed in. So visibility is now down to 8 kilometres. The only thing that's potentially within 8 kilometres is that Jaeger. So if he gets spotted now, it's only the Jaeger who's going to be in a position to actually do anything about it. He'll appear on the mini-map for all of those enemy battleships, but they won't actually be able to physically see him because the cyclone has shut visibility down to 8 kilometres. So this is a good news, bad news thing, because he also is not going to see any of those enemy battleships unless he stumbles to within 8 kilometres of them, which would be very, very bad. Now I want you to pay attention to his spotted indicator, because this tells you a lot if you know what you're looking at. So we're going to wait for him to get spotted. There it is, spotted by the Jaeger. Note nobody's aiming at him. Note that now one ship is aiming at him, and note that now nobody is aiming at him. Crystal instantly pops his hydro, because what that just told him is that the Jaeger has just launched torpedoes at him. That indicator, as it is currently, tells you that you are spotted, but nobody's aiming at you with their guns. Watch what happens when he shoots out and gets spotted by the Hanover. Same thing. There it is. Now one person's aiming at him. It's the Hanover. But the Hanover has just realised that the guns are pointing the wrong way, and they're not going to be turned around before Crystal gets behind the island. So the Hanover is no longer aiming at him with the guns. What we just saw happen earlier was the Jaeger detect him, then the Jaeger's guns automatically locked on, because that's what they do. So the detected indicator had the number 1 suddenly appear in it. The Jaeger switched to its torpedoes, so the detected indicator lost the number 1. That's why he popped the hydro, because the indicator was telling him that the Jaeger had locked onto him and switched to torpedoes. Although because of the way that Crystal was sailing, the Jaeger thought it was a better idea, and it was, to launch them at the Des Moines instead. That's the Jaeger shooting at the Des Moines, by the way. He does like to shoot at things, and this time he was very lucky that nobody had line of sight to get him spotted. So the Hanover is down. Unfortunately, so is the Des Moines. It's now kind of likely that the Jaeger's going to try his luck at Cap Circle Charlie. And that would be disastrous, because the enemy team would then control all 3 of the cap circles, and, well, basically this match would be over. We do know that that Jaeger does like to get stupidly close before launching his torpedoes, however. And the thing is, if he is continuing to stalk Crystal, well, look at the Kitakaze. Crystal's not alone anymore. And that thing will rip a Jaeger apart in seconds if he catches him. Oh, detected. Aimed at by one ship, no longer aimed at by anybody. Same as before, Jaeger got to within 8 kilometres, spotted him, guns automatically locked on, switched to the torpedoes. Remember that indicator, it tells you who sees you, but the numbers only appear when somebody's locked onto you with their guns selected. Oh, Kitakaze shooting at somebody. I mean, it could be the Jaeger. The Jaeger would be foolish in the extreme to be shooting back with its 3 poxy little pop guns. But the Kitakaze might have bitten off more than he can chew. I mean, the cyclone's still in effect, but it looks like he might be within 8 kilometres of the Slava, and possibly also the Utrecht. There are certainly airstrikes going in. Hopefully, he is actually shooting... Oh, hang on, these torpedoes. I'm not... You know, I don't even know for sure that those torpedoes were aimed at Crystal. It's possible the Jaeger intended those for the Kitakaze, and Crystal just got lucky. But then we get a couple of plot twists, because the Jaeger does actually get the kill on the Kitakaze. Although I suspect it was a bit of a kill steal. I think the Utrecht and the Slava did most of the work. Not the first time in this battle even we've seen that Jaeger try to snatch a kill on a low health friendly ship. In fact, the first time he did it, it was what caused him to remain detected longer than necessary while within secondary range of a Grosser Kurfürst. Second plot twist, surprise Fletcher just popped up. And again, I mean, I want to say fortunately, but I suspect luck has absolutely nothing to do with it. Crystal does have a large amount of real estate between himself and any potential Fletcher torpedoes. Also, that USS USA just got itself another kill. That's 4 now for an aircraft. You can tell it's a super carrier, can't you? Speaking of carriers, Crystal's there fat-fingering a message in chat to the friendly carrier, HMS Eagle, to finish off the Fletcher, because, you know, 1,400 hit points left. Whether or not the friendly carrier was paying attention or even understood the garbled English is a different matter entirely. I'm also very surprised we don't see Fletcher torpedoes here, because Crystal is clearly expecting them. He's holding off on using his last charge of hydro for now, but he's watching that channel and that smoke screen, because that's the Fletcher. He's flipping the cap. And he was air spotted and momentarily surface spotted there as well. So the Fletcher, I mean, it wasn't obvious which way he was going as he sailed past the island. He had the opportunity to dump torpedoes. For some reason, he didn't take it. Oh, hang on. Are those Fletcher torpedoes or Jaeger torpedoes? There's a second set coming. That looks like 2 sets of 5. Friendly torpedoes going the other way. It could be both of them, you know, because that's a lot of torpedoes. I think that second set were the Fletchers then. So if the Jaeger is up there, and Crystal's just, I mean there's no submarines in play, but he's looking to see if anybody starts shooting at those depth charge attack planes. And somebody is. And check out, look at that shoot down from the USS USA. That was, I need to rerun this without the UI and use that as a screenshot as the video thumbnail because that was epic. Anyway, enemy carrier spotted. 10,000 damage and a double fire with a high explosive. So naturally, automatic damage control gets triggered. He is now immune to fires for the next minute because that seems fair. Carriers are not as overpowered as they were following the carrier rework and for quite some time after the carrier rework. But that doesn't mean anybody likes them for reasons which are about to become apparent. And there's the Jaeger. He's gotten himself spotted again. I don't get it. What? You don't need to get that close to launch your torpedoes, dude. And of course, in order to get the follow-up shots on the carrier, Crystal had just reloaded armor piercing. If not for that, the Jaeger would already be dead. And look, here comes the Fletcher as well. So he switches back to the high explosive. The friendly Satsuma has just gone down, burnt down by the airstrikes from the enemy Utrecht. Shots out on the Jaeger. Gets him. Secondaries finish off the Fletcher. There's the double strike. Eats a bunch of bombs from the USS USA. Switches back to the armor piercing. Starts swinging the ship around in order to finish off the enemy carrier. This is why people, it's one of the many reasons why people still hate carriers, even though they're nowhere near as overpowered as they used to be. Watch this. 12-inch armor piercing. Not quite, but almost a flat broadside. Gets dunked on there by another airstrike from the Utrecht, but he does hit the enemy carrier with 8 of his 9 12-inch shells and does 7,000 damage. 6 overpens, 1 pen, and a ricochet. Surely that was just bad luck. Let's try again. Well, it was bad luck. You had the bad luck to be aiming at an aircraft carrier. Switch back to the high explosive. You won't set them on fire, because these things are functionally immune to burning to death, because, you know, what aircraft carrier ever burned to death? Honestly, I think the real reason why Wargaming made these things functionally immune to being set on fire, although not immune to getting hit by and sunk by high explosive. And there's the Kraken Unleashed. You see, originally carriers couldn't launch and recover aircraft while their flight deck was on fire. I mean, obviously real carriers can't because fire is very bad. But originally they couldn't in this game too, and then for a while they could. And it was obviously really stupid. Oh, here come the... Whoa, that... Wow. Less than 2,000 hit points. And here comes the Utrecht. Oh, this could be it. He's got no heals left. If this is a fire, he's got the damage control ready to go. Oh, he's missed! Yeah, he's missed. And there he is. AP ready to go. Shots out. The range is good. This is going to be kill number 6 and the victory. And it is, with only the paint holding the hull of the ship together. But yes, I do honestly think that one of the, certainly not the primary reason, but definitely one of the reasons why aircraft carriers in this game just can't be set on fire is because of just how utterly ridiculous it would be if the flight deck was burning from stem to stern and they were still able to continue launching and recovering aircraft. Because they absolutely would. It would be stupid, but it wouldn't be the first time. But anyway, there we go. 3,200 base experience. He only loaded this ship up because it's one of his premiums and he wanted to grind out some credits. He was not expecting, in a frankly not amazingly good tier 9 battlecruiser, in a tier 11 battle, definitely wasn't expecting to come out of that with 6 kills, an air defense expert medal, and nearly 1,000 base XP more than the next best player on his team. But to his very great surprise, that is in fact exactly what happened. and I hope you all enjoyed witnessing it, because that is it for today. As always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.